To discuss this further, Imene Trabelsi joins me now live from Beirut. She is a spokesperson for Near and Middle East at International Committee of the Red Cross. Thank you so much for being with us on the program. Now, as I mentioned, the ICRC has been overseeing this whole process of the exchange between Hamas and Israel, making sure the prisoners and hostages are handed over safely. Just give us a sense of how that whole process is unfolding.
Thank you for having me. Well, the role of the International Committee of the Red Cross during the release operation that happens over the course of the last day is quite simple. We were involved as a neutral humanitarian intermediary in the transfer of the hostages released and also the the detainees that were released. It's very important to highlight that the ICRC was not part of the negotiations. We just were involved as a humanitarian actor to implement what was agreed between the parties to the conflict and the other parties involved, of course. There is details within this agreement that the ICRC is not fully aware of up until this moment, as the talks are still ongoing. But we want to take this moment in order to acknowledge that tens of families from both sides were reunited with their loved ones. Over 50 hostages were transferred through the help of our colleagues outside of Gaza over the past 4 days, and over 100 Palestinian detainees were also released, and we have led on the transfer and the release operation in that side as well. Again, it's very important to highlight that we continue our call in order to continue implementing our role as a humanitarian, neutral, non-partial actor when it comes to the hostage situation. We continue our talks in order to be able to access and to visit all hostages. And we, of course, stress on the fact that taking hostages is against the international humanitarian law, and therefore call for an imminent release of all of them. Today, the ceasefire that was agreed is helping hundreds of thousands of families in Gaza in order to grasp their breath, to be able to try to find some kind of assistance, which is something that we're waiting for over weeks of terror.
Right.
Weeks of not being able to access their most basic needs. And we are quite happy to see that there is this glimpse of hope that is kind of brought by these ceasefire, but we continue on stressing on the fact that further political steps are needed to put an end to this, to put an end to the catastrophic humanitarian situation that we are seeing in Gaza as we're speaking.
Right. So as you mentioned, with this truce, the entry of aid into the enclave has increased since Friday, which is great, but it's not enough. One particular issue is the delivery of aid to the northern parts of Gaza, where around 700,000 people are still residing in. What's the ICRC's analysis of the current humanitarian catastrophe we're witnessing?
Well, the past days of ceasefire did not only allow further aid to be channeled and distributed, but it has also allowed families to be able to evacuate and to go from northern areas to southern areas. As you just said, hundreds of thousands of families were still present in northern areas in spite of the ongoing violence there and of the fact that they were asked to leave. But it's important to say that not everyone was able to leave over the past weeks, and therefore hundreds of thousands were indeed stuck in this situation. So the last few days, it allowed many families to be able to move. But we want to stress on the fact that what we have witnessed also over the past few days is that these displacement waves from north to south are happening in unsafe and in miserable conditions that are not in accordance with what the legal obligations that parties to the conflict must obey to stress on, which is that in cases of mass displacement on such circumstances, people should be allowed to have access to their most basic needs, pretty much. But this is not something that we have seen. We saw countless families being forced to move on foot, as there is no other way of transportation walking for tens of kilometers without access to any kind of support, to be able to try to find a safe area in southern areas. Also, the ceasefire has also allowed many injured people who were present in northern areas to be transferred to health facilities in the south. But it's important to highlight that the health facilities in the south are also working in impossible conditions. They're on the verge of a full collapse. This influx of additional patients with very little resources is actually causing an additional layer of burden on the health facilities that are still functioning, the health staff.
Indeed, there's also the crucial question of whether the flow of aid will continue when the truce ends, because what's been delivered so far has brought little to no relief to the damage and destruction that has been caused by Israel.
Absolutely. And this is not, unfortunately, this is not a question that I can give you a short answer to. What I can tell you is that over the past few days, we have had not only the possibility to move in order to assist further, but also to make a more realistic assessment of to which extent we are talking about, to which extent the needs are massive. We've been talking about the massive needs, but it was also an opportunity for us to be able to explore and to move a little bit more in order to see that from our own eyes. What we can tell you for sure is that right now the health facilities are not able to work, even with the flow of additional assistance that reached the health facilities still functioning. For instance, our colleague, part of our colleague who are working among the surgical team who are right now operating in the European hospital, they've been saying to us they're still lacking even the most basic equipment to treat burns, that several injuries that they are seeing are not treatable within Gaza and needs transfer. In addition for that, access to water, access to proper sanitation in temporary shelter is catastrophic. We've been able to equip about 12 temporary shelters with solar panels, as well as stations for desalination that should serve up to 70,000 displaced people in southern areas, but that is nothing compared to what the population actually need at the moment.
Indeed, it's also a crucial factor to decrease the amount of viruses that have been spreading due to the hygiene situation that has unfolded in Gaza. Imene Trabelsi, thank you so much for being with us here on the NewsHour and sharing that analysis with us. We appreciate it.